Three, two, one, Ghost. Hey everybody, welcome to 321 Ghost. I'm your host with a silent G, Kyle, joined by my pal Natalie. Hey Natalie, how are you?
So good. Hi. Hi, Kyle. Hi, everyone. I thought for sure you were going to say something along the lines of welcome, everyone. Like welcome, but hell.
Oh, I like that. Should I
I
start
don't know.
over?
No. Don't. No one will like it. Judging by your reaction, no.
You know what? Hey, 321 Ghost, how
Welcome.
come everybody? Oh, we said it together. Should we start doing that more often? We shouldn't.
No.
Welcome to 321 Ghost. Gosh, yeah, I don't know. How are you? Anything spooky going on? I feel like I always want to check in just in case.
Um, you know, just watching as many scary movies as I can, like in between the movies that we're talking about, which actually is quite the workload. But I went and saw, of course, we're recording this in October, everyone. So you're listening in November, but we're talking about October. I went and saw X and or Saw 10.
Or or if you put them together as Bostonians say their sports team, Sox.
You
The
could.
SAWX. I feel like that's how Red Sox is phonetically pronounced
Oh
if you have
gosh.
the accent, but I don't know.
Yeah.
There you
I
go.
am welcome.
I'm like now we've all contributed to this. It's okay. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I saw that movie too, and I'm not the biggest Saw fan in the world, but relative to the other movies, high praise.
Yeah, I agree. I would say, I mean, it's too late now as you're listening, but watching it in the theater, I think was definitely worth my $13. And because I did see it in the middle of the day.
That's a spooky price.
Yes, it is a spooky price. We love the number 13. But you could watch it at home too, and I think it would still be super fun. If you love gore, definitely a good one. I've missed the last 5 or 6 Saw movies, so it was quite shocking, the amount of gore that was in it, but like in a fun way. Like yeah, it had me quite shook, but in a laughable, fun way. I went to see it by myself as I usually do, and it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't spoil anything, but definitely see it.
Yeah. I was just thinking about spooky prices. Have you ever well, let me just tell you a story because it happened to me. I was ordering just like a drink from this like fast food place, just like getting, and my order was 666.
That's great.
Does that ever happen to you?
No, never. I've had number 66, which is really underwhelming because you're like, so close.
So close. But no, that has happened to me where my order will be 666. It's happened to me a couple times, so I don't know, maybe it is me. But I did think it was funny where the woman was like walking out, about to answer the order, and she just goes, "Nope, not saying this one."
You're like, I wonder if that's mine.
Yeah, I was like, "Can you just like not you don't yeah, don't even want to say the number out loud?" It's, I don't
And
know.
people take 666 very seriously. I had a coworker because I've been in retail for a long time, and it was a rough day because we ended our day at $666 in sales, and she bought something to get rid of that number. She did not want it on our like reports on the screen. She was like, absolutely not. That's not how we're ending the day. And I was like, it's the number of the beast. Come on. Like we're it's good. We're good.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if I would want to stay on the 666th floor of a building.
That
You know,
sounds like a very guilty.
it's a really big building. I don't want to dive in for a number of reasons. But yeah, I don't know. Here, I mean, I think that's a good a segue as any. Number of the Beast. The Beast hangs out in hell, and
Yeah.
this poor woman is going to get dragged there in Sam Raimi's 2009 film, Drag Me to Hell. Um, where do we want to start? I was thinking we can either, I don't know, just talk a little bit just about Sam Raimi movies in general coming into this, and then talking about just the first time you watched it. What do you want to start with?
Let's talk about Sam Raimi. I didn't really discover the Evil Dead movies until much later, which is really out of character for me because I was watching a lot of like 80s in like as a kid in the 90s. And I don't think I watched like Evil Dead or Evil Dead 2 or Army of Darkness or any of those until I was like a teenager. So that felt late for me because of how many horror movies I had already seen, and it's considered to be a classic. And um, I'm a fan of him. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I probably first watched Evil Dead. It was probably, I guess, late middle school, freshman year of high school, somewhere,
Hmm.
But I think I was
Do you
just,
feel like you understood like the humor and camp of it when you watched it at that age?
yeah, I mean, like, I don't know if I found it as like silly as like, like the second one's definitely sillier.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I think it was fine. I think I just like wasn't feeling, possession movies, zombie movies, and it isn't really quite all in one
Hmm.
bucket for each of those, but yeah, like I said, I think it was a fun movie, and I think I was just trying to kind of devour as much as possible, and then just trying to kind of learn
Yeah.
as much because I knew it was just always kind of revered as a classic.
Yeah, I'm not a huge like Evil Dead franchise person. I enjoy it quite a bit. And if someone was like, "Hey, do you want to watch this?" Yes, absolutely. But it's not in my top things. And I know you and I went to go see The Evil Dead Rise, which is very recent. Maybe his most recent, other than this new Marvel movie, I think that he worked on.
Right. That was the other thing too. I think, being in high school right when, gosh, yeah, I was a freshman, I think, when the first Spider-Man came out. And
Mm-hmm.
he did those three movies. And I think that also got me to revisit the Evil Dead movies just because, I think the
Mm-hmm.
style was good, and being like told, like, oh yeah, Bruce Campbell is like, being introduced to like just Bruce Campbell, I really went hard
Yeah.
on the P in Campbell, but no, it's Campbell. Sorry. But yeah, I don't know.
I
And
had such a big crush on him
and he
when I watched those movies. Oh,
yeah, he's a
gorgeous.
handsome guy. But I do, yeah, he did that last like Doctor Strange sequel as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and and I'll be honest. Oh, and he produced the two most recent Evil Dead movies. Evil
Yeah, he
Dead,
has a lot of I was looking through his IMDb and he has a lot of more producer credits than anything else.
yeah, especially like with
Um,
TV too.
long list. Yeah. But I like those Spider-Man movies. The third one, not so much, but I do like the first two actually quite a lot. I've tried to get Phil to watch them many times, and he's not having it.
They're pretty fun. I like
But
them a lot.
yeah, I think they're really fun. I remember I saw those in the theater. Did not know at that time I wasn't paying attention to directors and things like that that weren't in like that weren't like more obvious. Like I think Wes Craven was like the one that I was the only like director that I was like, I know your whole background. But I had no idea that that was Sam Raimi, and it's funny to see like a lot of these directors who are known for horror, like picking up on like Marvel movies. It's kind of an interesting thing. I know James Wan has done that too.
Yeah. Yeah, right, right. And the other thing too is, well, not really the other thing. I felt like that was really kind of even happening back then because I remember both specifically Sam Raimi doing the Spider-Man movies as well as Peter Jackson doing the Lord of the
Mm.
Rings movies. And my, like my wife, she's a huge Lord of the Rings fan, watches those movies at least, well, reads the books at least once a year, and watches the movies as well. And so it was just interesting to kind of talk about my experience with Peter Jackson, you know like Dead Alive and Frighteners and such,
Yeah.
and then and seeing how it kind of translates in those movies. And I think that Sam Raimi, especially, I mean, I know one scene everyone talks about a lot is the Doc Ock scene in the lab in Spider-Man 2 that looks like very like shot like Evil Dead 2, and as like
Hmm.
and is like shot a lot like a horror film scene, and it's really
Yeah.
effective. That movie's great. um I don't know, I got to admit I've got a little bit of an Evil Dead hot take in that Army of Darkness is my least favorite, including the two recent ones. I would actually probably prefer
I
those.
actually I agree with that. I don't think I've ever taken the time to rank them, but Army of Darkness is definitely the one I've seen the least. So I'm assuming that I mean, well, the new one I'd only seen once, but I mean like the ones that I've had available to me to rewatch for a long time. I don't revisit that movie. I love the one from, when did that come out? The Evil Dead. It was like
I
2013.
think so.
That I really enjoy that one. I think it's super fun. It grosses me out, and but like I think it's fun from beginning to end. But yeah, I this movie though, I this came out in 2009 and I'm trying to place like where the heck I was. I think I just moved to San Diego at that time. Um I don't think we saw this together, but I do remember seeing it in the theater.
I was living in San Francisco at the time,
Okay, I
so
thought so.
I think I went and probably saw this by myself. I think, but 2009. It's you know it was an interesting year for horror movies. But this one in particular, I think, coming off however you felt about that, third Spider-Man movie, I think a lot of people were feeling kind of fatigue a little bit, and
Yeah.
with and maybe some of the sillier components of it, or this parts that Sam Raimi could only do so much with. I think there was studio meddling, who knows? But
Yeah.
I think because of like that faith in like the Evil Dead movies, as well as like, well, I never saw Darkman. Did you?
No, I thought that might be a fun one to
Yeah,
watch.
so we should circle back on that one. I haven't seen it either.
Yeah.
But I think with
You
that
also
good
said Dead
faith,
Alive when you were talking about Peter Jackson, and I was like, "Ooh, I need to watch that again. It's been a while."
but I think everybody was feeling, I think there was some excitement for him to pivot back to not just, like producing, but like, writing and directing like an original horror film. And
Mhm.
I mean, I remember being excited about that because I was definitely, a fan of, having just watched all of them and absorbed them over the couple of years, between at least when I first saw Evil Dead and then when this movie was announced.
Mhm.
I was pretty excited about it. I think one thing that seemed to be a little bit of a point of contention is that this movie, he's known, or at least the Evil Dead movies are known for being very bloody, very violent,
Mhm.
very like having to like trim down to like get that R rating. And this movie, maybe infamously, I don't know, is a PG-13, or shall I say PG-1408 film.
It's
um
P. Wait, I'm surprised you even said PG-13. I was like really expecting you to say PG-1408.
oh, I had it in my back pocket the whole time before we logged on.
I have a few bones to pick with this movie, but overall I really enjoy it. But I I wonder how it would have landed if it was rated R. I didn't realize that the response was so positive for this movie. I hadn't really looked into it until we watched it, for this episode, and seeing that it has a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes, I was like, "What the fuck? That is high." Like I actually like out loud said, "What the fuck?" Because I was like, there's so many movies that like I would put way above this one that have much lower scores. Not saying that this is not a fun movie, but that is high praise, like very high praise. And then it has a 6.6 on IMDb, which I feel like IMDb is always like much lower than Rotten Tomatoes, or they're not in the same place.
It's got to be upsetting. 6-6 rather than the full 666, huh? Right?
Not a point, not a 6.66.
Yeah.
Yeah, they stop it at that first decimal.
The other thing too, yeah, definitely, it just, I think I nominated this movie initially on my list, and not because I felt like I had any strong attachment to it. I remember liking it a lot when I
Mm-hmm.
watched it, and I think really enjoying the kind of creativity out of, like, I guess you don't need all the blood. This is still pretty fun. This is just a campy romp, and just what other different fluids can we just spray in this poor girl's mouth?
Well,
And
and like that's one of my main issues though with this movie is like we go out of our way to do all these fluids, which is super fun. Like give her all the things, but like why couldn't we have done practical effects?
ooh,
Like
yeah, the CG's rough.
the CG is rough. Like to the point where like as I was watching it, I was like, oof, it really takes me out of it. Like that's how bad it is. So this watch was a little bit rougher for me because I, you know, was was really like distracted by that. And knowing that it had a $30 million budget and that I know Sam Raimi could do so much more with less, it was kind of disappointing that he didn't do more practical. Like I know practical could be the more expensive option, but $30 million, that's a fucking sweet budget for a horror movie. And like he must have had some like weight like to be able to, he's been banging out hits. Like let's do some actual fluids.
I know you don't have any like huge stars in this movie, and you don't have, I mean, all the sets are generally indoors. It's
The
like you could,
bank,
yeah,
her house. Yeah.
yeah, the other house, and
Yeah.
then that
Like
other house, and then the train station.
yeah,
Like, so
it's pretty basic as far as yeah, like where the filming is happening. But
one thing I would just want to get right off the top here, is this movie, is pretty racist, pretty problematic, in this trope of this,
yeah.
Eastern European woman who,
Hmm.
will just throw this general curse. And it's not even like it's a curse that I looked into it a little bit. Like the name of like that demon, or like
The
Lamia,
Lamia.
and is more Greek, from Greek
Yeah.
mythology than anything else, and was, used more in like like a scary story to tell kids, to keep them in line,
Hmm.
not that this like vengeful demon that's going to come and take your soul and drag it to hell. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
it's like, dude, you can't, and that was just the issue, is that you're, if you're gonna like kind of like co-opt this, like this idea of, or lean into some of these tropes, like, let's at least like try to get something a little accurate there. But so I do think,
Yeah.
I and, to like a lesser extent, I think, when you have like the tropes of like, like the mystical Asian characters, and you have the,
Mhm.
it's kind of interesting, I think, just all to serve, um this, mid-20s white woman, to serve up,
Yeah.
just to elevate her story. Yeah.
Such a weird, silly like premise that you could have come up with anything really. Like you could have done any number of things. So I'm like, it's 2009 and like sadly I don't think that Sam Raimi and his brother while they were writing it were thinking like what effect are we going to have on Eastern Europeans? And so that's the annoying part is like of course they weren't thinking about that. But that being said, I think it's important to point out like the character of Mrs. Ganesh is absolutely disgusting, gross, and terrible. And that has nothing to do with the group of people that she's associated with. Like when we talk about her, like, and when I talk about her, because I have a lot to say, it is based off of this particular woman, this character, and
Yes.
just the craziness of her because she is absolutely fucking terrifying. Uh
Right, and that's the thing, because I was gonna be like, look, but it's hard because damn it, I love everything that's going on with this character.
Oh yeah,
This is
absolutely. And so what
right.
do they call what do the young kids call it on TikTok?
Oh Jesus, I don't know.
Dang it. I feel like such an old person right now that I can't even I completely left my mind. It's gonna pop. Oh, problematic favorites. That's a terminology of like things that like you fell in love with as a kid or like growing up. You didn't realize it was problematic, and then one day you're like, "Ooh,
When did
this
I feel like we
is a
talked I
problem."
feel like we talked about this before and I mentioned Morrissey because he's always my first
Oh yeah,
example.
yeah. We were just talking about that, which is so funny because we were also talking about Morrissey, me and someone else, like, and I didn't even know the half of like some of the craziness.
Yeah.
But the other one that comes to mind that fits this exact trope is Stephen King's Thinner. I don't know if you've ever seen that. I love that movie. Love it. If you think this one is bad, ooh, on a whole nother level of like what's going on there and how they're depicting
Like indigenous
these like
tribes
this
or like indigenous people because I
no,
think
no,
Stephen
it's the
King.
same. It's the same. Like the Romani people. Like it's the same group of people, the same situation where there's a curse, but you get to see a lot more of them and like how they're living and how they like interact with people and things like that. And it's a lot. The movie itself, though, super fun. Like it's a super fun movie. It's a super fun premise. And of course, like it starts with a curse, like someone's wronged someone, and it's in that case, it's an older man. He also has fucked up eyes, which is interesting and seems to be another like, another thing. But yeah, it's one of those things where, again, like I feel like we need to diversify our portfolio because we've been talking a lot about white men writing and directing these movies that we've been talking about, but also like it's fucking slim pickings otherwise. So, you're in a situation where we're like, we're gonna diversify and we've got our favorites too and all different, places. But yeah, this it's, when you've got like a bunch of like at this point, Sam Raimi's already fucking rich and famous. Like he's not caring about like how he depicts Eastern European people or how that might harm them in any way. And especially to an American and Canadian audience is where it was released. Like he's not going to get any grief from those audiences at that time in 2009.
Yeah, I don't
Would
know
it
how.
land now? No.
Yeah, I don't know how much that was brought up. I mean, at the time, but yeah, I just wanted to, like address that elephant in the room before we moved forward because it's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah. It was on the top of my list of notes as well. But on that note, like please don't buy things that say like nomad. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Like you're not a nomad. Wait, what is that? What do you even mean?
the Sega Nomad, which allowed you to play your Sega Genesis games on a Game Gear. Hence the Nomad, you could bring it with you. Or no, or
Weird.
was it, or no, it wasn't a Game Gear, it was just a portable Sega Genesis, I guess. Kind of. So, okay.
Because it was different. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
just that you could, the idea of Nomad, like you could travel, like that
Yeah,
idea.
shout out to these gaming companies figuring out that they don't need 1,000 different types of devices. Like I was looking at some of like the history of like PlayStation and some wild shit that nobody ever needed that they came up with, and like now I feel like they've all got it locked down. Like they're like we only need so many things, to keep people happy with their gaming.
I
Um
should have gotten, I should have gotten fucking Blue Ribbon Awards for the art that was printed and created off that Game Boy Color printer. That I think I don't even think I had. I think it just printed out like just weird digital like on stuff shit on receipt paper. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, like as dumb as that sounds, like I guarantee like kids of a certain age would be so into that shit. Like eh, printing a screen on a piece of paper, come on now. That's magic.
Rumble Pack was worth it as far as superfluous add-ons, but I think after that, definitely. So I hear you.
Yeah, those there's my rant for that.
So
Um,
the movie starts giving you a little bit of background on what this is and how it operates, in the sense where you have this
mhm.
family bringing their child, asking this woman to help, save him from this demon, because he stole a necklace. And again, I'm just like, I'm gonna have a lot of trouble with the morality of these movies because this movie, because
Yeah,
they even said like they tried to give it back. Like I'm just like, look, if you fucking give it back, like kids will be fucking kids. Are we really gonna like,
send him to hell.
yeah, like send him to hell? Which like,
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of morality questions going on here. What I like about this opening scene is that it lets you know that this is going to be a silly movie. Like just the way that they're being slapped around, like it feels very, the sound effects
yeah,
are so over the top.
yeah, this demon does slap around a lot.
Oh yeah, I love it. Like it feels very soap opera. Like
Oh, it just reminded me of like that Charlie Murphy skit on Chappelle's Show. With like the slap, and I just imagined
slapping
that,
everybody.
yeah. But I do appreciate, hey, good child getting dragged to hell, being like, we do not care.
And I think that should be everyone's first indicator if they're wondering, like, is Christine actually going to go to hell? It's like, if they sent this kid to hell a minute into the movie, she's fucked. She's absolutely fucked. Um, yeah, but I did, yeah, I like that. I like that little intro. It's a little mean. Surprised they got away with that in PG-13 movie.
I like that because I'm like, they're like, hey, there's no blood, and they didn't. It was more of like the shadow of him, and of course, like yelling, "Help me, help me, help me!" As
Yeah.
he's getting pulled down. It was pretty good, even though at first,
Yeah.
when it starts showing, it's like the kind of like cracks through the ground, and like I'm like, you can easily just jump over that, dude. Like, I feel like
Yeah,
nobody's
just
like,
run a little bit.
yeah. So I don't know. So we do cut to oh, I do like the opening a little bit. That gives you again the little on it's like a 3-day situation,
Mm-hmm.
which probably so you can fit in. I just think how just inefficient it is for that girl from that well to take 7 whole fucking days to climb out of your TV when
Yeah, like what if like multiple people like were watching the tape? Like if you have a 3-day turnaround time, you could get through way more people, way more victims than 7 days. That's a long
that's a
time.
long
And
time.
yeah, it really is. The other thing too, that the opening where they're going through like all the art and all those things, the music in this movie is really, really good. It's fantastic. And I so here's I don't know if I've shared this before, but I think it's important that everyone knows that this is what I do. I found this endless playlist of horror movie scores on Spotify. And I listened to it, like, I've just been going through it from beginning to end. It is literally, I think it's like probably 100 hours long. Like, it will take forever to get through. And I listen to it while I'm working because I want to listen to things that have no lyrics. And for some reason, these like horror movie scores calm me down. But I don't like to know what I'm listening to. I just let it play. Some of them are very iconic and obvious. But this one was playing, and I was maybe like 3 or 4 songs into it. And I was like, what are you listening to right now? This is amazing. And I was like, this is the Drag Me to Hell soundtrack. And of course, this was way before, we decided to that cover this movie and that I had watched it. So hearing it this watch was really fun. I really appreciated hearing the music after like having listened to it a couple times, like without the movie. It's really beautiful. And anyone who's stressed out, horror movie scores are really great while you're working. I maybe it wouldn't have the same effect on most, but I find them very calming.
That's my white noise, is the shrill shrieking, violins in of the Psycho score. That's
That one's good.
it is a great score. I know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Oh my gosh. So, we cut to our lead character. Why am I forgetting her name right now?
Oh, Christine,
Christine. That's it.
Christine, Christine Brown.
I know.
Oh,
Played by Alison Lohman. The I guess the original choice was Elliot Page.
oh, interesting. How old, how old would he have been at that time?
I mean, I don't
Like way
know.
too young, right?
This is still a couple years after Juno, right? Because Juno wasn't Juno like 2006 or something like that. So he would have been like,
Oh,
I don't
yeah. Gosh,
know,
I guess so.
20s.
Wow,
But
I am really losing track of time.
I do think at the time both I'm like, oh, I could see Alison Lohman being a pretty good stand-in for Elliot Page at the time.
Yeah,
Like just that. I don't know, just that, just nice girl next door vibe, just not assuming, but someone you can
very
someone you can
sweet.
certainly feel bad for when things happen to them.
Yeah,
And I do
yeah.
think Alison Lohman does a great job in this movie. I guess she's not a big fan of horror movies, but like the idea of just doing the stunts.
She's super cute, and she's in a movie that I haven't watched in ages, but I think I already had like I'd seen her in it's called White Waylander. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I
Familiar.
think Michelle Pfeiffer is her mom in that movie, so anything with Michelle Pfeiffer is already a win. And she's so great in it, and so I already recognized her from that. I think that came out ooh, early 2000s. I feel like it was when we were in high school, so it would have been before this. But yeah, I think she's a great pick, but who I really feel is underutilized in this movie is our uh, 321 Ghost favorite, Justin Long.
I know. The other thing I'd seen Alison Lohman is Matchstick Men with Nicolas Cage and Sam
Mm,
Rockwell.
yes. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that
That's a
movie.
fun one too. And she's really good in
That
it.
is a good one. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
she kind of then I don't remember seeing her in much after like this little
she
hit in a
is.
lot of movies.
Yeah, she is married to. I forget where I read this. I think she's married to one of the guys that did Crank. Did you ever see those movies?
No, but I know what they are.
They're oh god, yeah, that's those movies are problematic, but they're fun in their own way. But this movie is just I get a lot of retail PTSD and a lot of customer service PTSD and a lot of shitty boss PTSD
Mhm.
watching this movie because
Yeah.
I thankfully I'm in a lovely healthy job situation now, but that wasn't even always the case even as recently as my last situation. And then before that, just like all the just middle management assistant store manager positions and stuff. So this,
Mhm.
gosh, I feel for her, especially like the whole time where I'm just like, why? And again, it's just like this is the morality of this thing being like she's she's just trying to like just make it
I
by. Like what the
no,
fuck?
I feel for her because and it's not going to sound like that throughout me talking about this movie or this character. So I'll start by saying that her life, like working at this bank with that shitty boss who's having her pick up sandwiches and shit like that when that's not her job.
And picking up stew
Um,
sandwiches too? Fuck
yeah,
stew.
fuck Stu. Fuck Stu.
Fuck stew.
He deserves to go to hell. I can't believe she spared him.
I
But
can't believe it.
it it's one of those things where I'm like, God, I feel so sorry for her. But at the same time, like he wrote this girl's life to be very like mundane, and the way that she reacts to things and like how boring Justin Long is, like as a character, I'm like, who fucking cares about this guy? Who even cares about impressing his mom, his bitch mom? Like, she's the worst.
Yeah, she
So
sucks.
I fucking hate her too. So like there's a lot of people to hate in this movie. So and I want to say that that's intentional so that Christine seems even more sweet and undeserving of this fate that she's handed. But, she wants this assistant manager job so bad. I'm like, I've been there, girl. I've been there. Like, working her ass off for it and just being, you've probably been in a situation like this where they know you will work harder and do more to get to the next thing, and so they withhold it from you to get you to do more, and that's the situation she's in, and, like, it just it's yeah, it's sad to see. And I have no doubt in my mind that her boss is just a dick. Like from what you see of him, but then like also like yeah, he's I don't like him either.
A weird Spider-Man connection here.
Uh-huh.
Not weird, but I mean, well, Sam Raimi directed those movies at the time. But
Hmm.
what's his name? David Paymer, I think. Yeah, David Paymer, who's the actor that
Oh
plays
yeah.
the
Yeah.
bank manager, Mr. Jax.
Hmm.
Um, so there is also a bank manager named Mr. Jax in Spider-Man 2 who
What?
is denying Aunt May her request for an extension,
That's so awesome.
played by Joel McHale. So that's where I'm like, they just recast it and just be like, no, we just want to have a fun, weird ass connection.
How funny. And Joel McHale is going to be in that movie with Justin Long. It's a Wonderful Knife.
There you go. Well, that sounds like a winning
So
cast. I like that.
yeah, I was like, that should be an interesting one.
They really set her up to be this, like, she's just doing her fucking job. Like her boss is
Yeah.
such a fucking asshole, and Justin Long is very sweet and kind of unassuming and aw shucks whatever type.
Hmm.
But just when she walks out.
He's also a professor and has a PhD, which I think you see on
Yeah,
his little thing, which like it will come into play later.
when Allison Loman's walking out of his office, like going to return back to work, and then she just hears through the hall, like on the speakerphone, Justin Long talking to his mom, who's just like, again, just she like almost half like redeems herself for like a quick second in the movie, and then she flips right
Yeah.
back to just being like, oh no, I'm awful, just kidding, never mind.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
love it. She's like, that girl from the farm. Like she must be complete trash if she grew up on a farm. And I'm like,
and I feel like
farming can be quite lucrative, ma'am.
they don't really like. And I'm like, and then I'm just like, where do you think all your fucking like food comes from? And where do you think like this? And then she said, yeah, like,
Yeah.
the yolks just make better cake this time of year, whatever, with
And she's
geese.
like, oh, great. Yeah.
Geese, and I'm
You're
just
like,
like,
she just told you you're going to eat a bomb ass cake. Like, she knows what she's doing.
so it's just like this cartoonish level of just how just every aspect of her life is just shitting on her, though yet she manages. Like, I was trying to remember, does she like pay rent on this house or own this house?
I I do not know, but that is a beautiful home that she is living
It's a
in. And
beautiful
so I'm
home
like,
on her own.
how I thought the same thing because when she's being chased later on in the movie and she runs upstairs, I was like, wait, there's two stories? Like what is happening? This
I know.
beautiful open like that wall behind her bed that's just a full window. It's gorgeous. So
And this
she
isn't.
must be doing pretty well considering she's not an assistant manager yet.
And again, like, yeah, this was 14 years ago, but it's not like it was inexpensive to live in Los Angeles either.
No,
I
not in a
know.
place that large. Absolutely not.
Gosh, mommy, it's
Yeah,
such an
it
asshole.
is very cartoonish was like the perfect word that you used to describe. Like but I mean just most of the characters in this movie and the situation like you're in a I think anything that you watch that, you know, is this type of movie, you're just kind of like, fine, that's where she lives.
There was,
Fine.
yeah, and it's being kind of on the cartoon level. I think, like, just jumping ahead a little bit. So, like, when they're doing the seance and, it possesses the one guy and he's like flying around and doing the thing.
Oh
It felt
man.
very like this is all Scooby Doo to me.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I think and even, yeah, it was great. But so she gets back, fucking Stu and Mr. Jax are being fucking dicks, and she gets back to her desk, turns around, then turns back over, and then fucking here's Mrs. Ganush,
Oh man.
who, I mean, is like, like Jesus. I just I'm coughing up this or poking my eye this or
Oh
taking my
man.
teeth out and putting them right on your desk here.
So
And
many things. And the close up of her fingernails, like they're dirty and yellowed and cracked.
okay, I'm not a loan officer. I do have a mortgage that I'm paying. So at least I know that I get two extensions before I'm allowed to curse them. So that's a good thing to know.
She also steals the bowl of candy when Christine goes to talk to the manager about whether or not she can extend this woman another credit or loan, whatever she calls it. She throws the whole bowl of candy into her purse,
Love
which
it.
I got quite the chuckle out of because she tried one first. She was like, I need to make sure these are good.
She's like,
Pop out these dentures real quick. Suck on this candy. It's good. It's good. I'm gonna take the rest.
and I just like I get that at the end when she says to Justin Long, like, I could have helped her, but I didn't, and her like kind of like coming to peace with that or admitting that or whatever. I still push back on that. Where
I've got a lot of feelings about the whole situation of like, okay, so let's start here. You're Christine. You're Christine. This exact situation is happening to you, and your boss tells you, Mr. Jax tells you that you make the call. What would you do?
I would say, is there a third alternative? If like rarely things are two options, right? Rarely there's
Okay.
the binary extend, give her the extension or not. That's rarely the truth,
Mm-hmm.
right? So let's sit and have a conversation of being like, okay, even though like I'm like, well, first of all, she tries. She goes, Miss, Ganush, and who, like let's like I get it. Hey, and all of this, it's very close to us. Maybe I don't know. Maybe we should be dissecting a movie like this deeply, but it's like we all know the feeling of being like one medical scare away
Oh
from,
yeah.
not just like I think just especially when this movie came out during that recession, as well as I just feel like even just now, and especially folk in our generation and younger, it is we're I'm always, I don't know, just very paranoid about
Mm-hmm.
everything could go, you never know. And
Yeah.
so it's like, you want to be mindful of that, but I feel like there's got to be like, and then also too, like what precedent is there? I would have asked, was there a last time we've offered a third extension to somebody, and what did that look like?
Yeah, she should have asked some more questions. I mean, given that wouldn't have made the movie progress the way it did. But yeah, I agree.
Let
I
me
would have been
slow
like,
this down.
like,
We need to
yeah,
add
like
a
you're her manager. You're the bank manager. Like you're there to help advise her in a difficult situation. And yes, she needs to be able to make some calls on her own. But like, I agree. I probably would have asked more questions before I made a decision.
and like I was about to say, sorry, I was sidetracked, but like it's not. She's trying to offer options to Ms. Ganush too, and she's just outright refusing all of them. Just like,
Mm-hmm.
spit. I don't like her. I'm not gonna live with her. What
Mm-hmm.
an assisted living for old people? No, I'm never gonna do that. No, and you're just like,
Mm-hmm.
well, okay. I mean, you are being very pushy about things that and not even stopping to consider when like okay, I'm sorry, just right now like we're in a spot where you can't afford to have your number one choice. I'm going to try and work with you, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also just like okay, extend it, then what? I think
So
it's
you're saying you would not have given her the extension?
I would have at least been like, can we buy like I can buy you a week, or at least just try to
Mm,
find them. We can revisit it. But if you're saying that it's gonna, because I think she even says like, oh, don't worry, like, it'll get sorted out soon. I'd be like, well, okay, well, how long is that? And we'll commit to
mhm,
that date. Then I'll let you set that date, and then as long
mhm.
as it's something we can work out. But I also understand I would not have gotten that assistant manager job. You know,
Interesting. Hmm.
but why would you just say nope? Sorry,
I would
gotta.
have said no. I'll tell you why. I've been I think I've been in the business of working for corporations for too long, and the first thought that goes into my mind, because you said what I was going to say, like I would need to know, are there more options for this woman? But ultimately, what is the difference between two extensions and the third extension? There is nothing that she foresees coming that's going to change in her life that she's going to be able to make payments. She can't afford it. She's carrying her pride. She can live with her granddaughter, her niece, I don't remember who it was. Like, you know, and he didn't say she couldn't afford assisted living, which was a red flag for me too, because I was like, the both things are expensive. Like, I think assisted living would cost the same or even more than a mortgage. So, that also is a whole nother thing. But yeah, I would have turned her down. I would have done the same thing as Christine. Um,
And then also, I'm just curious too, like, as much as like she says, or like, oh, it's her call, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know, like we were talking about the Saw movies. Like, that's my whole problem with those movies too, is this like, now, I don't think you're supposed to go in being like, no, Christine deserved this. I don't think most people
mhm.
say that, but it's the same thing whenever you talk about this weird, someone just choosing their slanted version of morality, right? And I think
Mhm.
about Saw, right, where I'm like, even at this last one, that's the closest one where you could say like, yeah, well, everybody kind of deserves it a little bit, even though
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
not true, because you think about just all of these, and again, maybe I'm just digging into this way too much, all of these like extenuating circumstantial contextual pieces that you're like, is it really just as a simple thing as, oh, I make one sinful decision, or like however they phrased it, a good life,
Mhm.
but one sinful decision, and you're just like, okay, then why fucking her? Like, why are you not going around cursing like
Someone way
child
worse.
killers and
Like,
shit? Like, what?
yeah. Also, like, you know what? Here's a fun idea. If you know you have the ability to curse people and have them dragged to hell, why not choose somebody super rich and shitty and then go and rob them blind after they're already in hell? And then there you go, mortgage paid.
My
This is really showing my moral compass
Yeah.
right now.
My theory was gonna be that my working hopeful theory was gonna be that Ganush is in it with geez, I don't have the characters'
Stu.
names in front of me. Like
With Stu.
with Ram Joss and
The woman from the
yeah,
beginning.
the woman from the beginning, and thinking like they're all just in it, and like they paid her $10,000. See where that money goes.
Mm,
But then maybe it was all a way to be like, hey, just to pay for the mortgage and get back caught up. So it was all just a ruse. And
oh my gosh.
then I would be like, hey, that is a good morality tale, because you
Hmm.
don't have to get dragged to hell and murdered. But we did take 10K from your rich boyfriend,
Yeah.
who is like
Yeah.
asking no questions to
Yeah.
so good on him.
Y-
And that's a great boyfriend, right? Just give me thousands of dollars and don't ask questions.
Okay, but the best part is like I think at the end he says he never stopped believing in her and I'm like, did you ever actually believe her or are you just so chill that you're like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm rich. Like you work out this fucking demon shit that you need to work out. Here's $10,000. Like I think he's fine, but I just thought it was so funny. I was like, you never really like fully believed her, but he also wasn't like objecting when she was like it was very just like neutral. Like he's like, this thing is happening to her. I don't seem to be able to help. I can help financially.
Yeah, it's like here's where I can be a support. And you know what? Good on him for
Yeah.
that. And so I know before, and he says he doesn't, yeah, like from the beginning, he says he doesn't believe anything, that he's saying at the psychic shop.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, that interaction is so good. That's where that like professor PhD moment totally comes in because the his back and forth with the seer is the funniest thing because she's just like, "Can you please stop talking?" And he's just trying to tell him, but basically what he does is bullshit. Like, and I just, oh my gosh, I thought that was so good. That's my favorite part of Justin Long's performance because I feel like it's the only time he really gets to like
Be a little silly,
really,
be a little
yeah,
fun.
be a little silly and have a little fun with it. Whereas like the rest of the movie, he's just kind of the supportive boyfriend, and that's all he's doing. This is where it starts to get good.
So in between the bank and meeting with the seer, there's a small bit in the, in, well, not small bit, it's kind of the whole crux of the
It's
movie.
like the whole, yeah.
Inside, when she gets cursed inside this parking garage, even though I
Wait,
was,
you skipped something so important.
which part?
The incident in the bank when she starts begging,
Yeah.
Mrs. Ganesh starts begging. And I want to say that turning down the loan may not have actually been the catalyst for the cursing. It feels like when she was begging and like clear like overstepping boundaries because she grabs her hand and then she grabs her skirt and like starts kissing her skirt. Girl, I would have called security too. Like, and I think that's what gets Christine cursed because she's like, you shamed me. Like
Yeah.
her turning down the loan. But I'm like, even if she didn't call security on you and you fell to the ground, you still made the active choice to beg this woman on your knees in the middle of this bank. Like if that is if that's what you're viewing as shame, as her rejecting your begging, like yeah, this her whole um view on like what's okay and what's not and morality is just very very just not great. It's not great. That's what, and then we go to the parking lot, which
Yeah.
is some of the best shit you've ever seen.
Yeah. All of that gets pretty fun. It's, why is it like showing with how like bad her teeth are? Why is it worse when the teeth are out and she's like gnawing on her
Oh, I
mouth?
wrote that down. I wrote, oh my
I
God, she's gumming on her chin. Like
love it.
literally just like on her chin. Oh,
It was so good.
it's so gross.
That whole thing was all
Oh,
pretty
it's so
fun.
gross.
I do like,
Yeah.
yeah, that fight back and forth. Jeez. And then of course, for Evil Dead fans, she's well, not Christine, but Ganush is driving that Delta.
Oh shit. Yeah. I
Yeah.
didn't even realize that.
And they show it quite a lot. They show it because it's parked right outside
Yeah.
when she goes, and then also later, well, in the parking garage, and then later on at the where what you find out is the, like, the
Hmm.
funeral, or the, that
Yeah,
ceremony.
I think honestly, I feel like that moment where Christine is in the parking lot and she sees that car, like that would be the scariest feeling, like knowing that she's just out there, like had been waiting for you. I mean, she is an elderly woman, so the fact that she put up this fight as well as she did is quite impressive. But that would be terrifying. Before you know that there's like demons that exist and things like that. But yeah, super scary and so just so fun. Like that whole car scene is really good.
Staples to the face and the,
Oh my gosh, when she staples her eye shut. Oh,
yeah. It was all pretty
so
fun. I
good.
liked it.
Yeah, it's good.
So now we fast forward. Well, and of course, everyone's just like, Jesus, are you okay? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, just as long as just like, hey, I'm gonna try to make someone walk you out every night. Even though I just got
Hmm.
confused by the geography where it's like, it seemed like there'd be plenty of parking like just right outside the building. Where is that
Yeah.
garage? Where is
Yeah.
that located? Next to the building. So that
Well,
was a little confusing for me.
sometimes they like if you're in a situation where you work at a bank or a retailer or something like that, they'll make you park
Yeah,
like farther away or in a different area so that your customers have like the best parking.
it's dumb.
Yeah.
You know what I see now is
It is
the
dumb.
I'm not going to say any, whatever feelings about it, but outside of the Lowe's, like home, whatever store, I was going to call it Lowe's, the Home Depot store. They have, I don't know where they do this else, but they have spots right in the front that say, like reserved for veterans. Have you seen that?
Oh, I've never noticed that. I thought you were going to say the family parking, which also is a thing that really pisses me off.
People
Um
should not be celebrated for breeding. I don't. What do you mean? What?
Full disclosure, and hopefully no one from mall security is listening right now. If I see family parking, I sure as fuck do park in it because I've still got a booster seat in my back seat. So who's to say I'm not in the mall with my child? They don't know.
You
They don't
know,
know.
there's a lot of
Does that make
definitions
me a
of
terrible
family.
person? Should I go to hell?
No, absolutely not. But I was wondering if like say I were to park in the veteran spot, would that be like would that count as stolen valor? Because that's
Yeah.
yeah, that's like punishable.
Yeah.
So no, no, no.
Yeah. I think it's more just like, people will just look at you and be like, and I mean, I automatically think of an old man when I think of veteran, but you could be a veteran that's much younger. I guess. But yeah, any parking that's reserved, um, like and those are two like moral things of like if you're a veteran, do you deserve closer parking? If you're a family, do you deserve closer parking? Honestly, park me all the way in the back with Phil so that he can get all his energy out before we get in the store. Like let's walk a mile. Why not? But yeah, like that's interesting. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I don't know. So,
Parking
have you ever
complex stuff.
had your palm read before?
Yeah, actually.
I
I had my palm read with a friend, and the only once ever in my life, and the woman that like basically was telling me everything that was happening in my life, he fucking nailed it. Like I would say the last 10 to 13 years since I talked to her. I guess it would have been like maybe 12 years. She everything that she said would happen happened, which is super creepy. And like, I'm not a big believer in those things. I did it for funsies with a girlfriend after having like a couple mimosas at brunch, and we were like, let's just go. I said for funsies. I was in brunch mode. Um
love it.
brunch mode.
Love that for you.
Yeah, exactly. So we did that, and he was completely wrong about my friend though. Like she fucked up on something major, and for me, like it was like spot on, and it was very specific. So quite the experience, and I actually think about her sometimes because it did creep me out. And she's in downtown San Diego. So
The person I went to was in Hillcrest in San Diego.
ah,
Yeah,
okay.
there was my wife and I were
Is it that
dating.
little house, the one that looks like a little house on University? Yeah.
Yeah,
I've been by that thing a million times. I've never gone in.
yeah, we went by and we were just like, you know what, fuck it, let's just go in there and just check it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, she read she did our readings separately, which made sense. Though there was like certain
Mhm.
stuff from like when she told us like the same thing about like when you were gonna get married or how many kids we're gonna have. She because she saw us and she could tell we were a couple, and
Yeah,
so of
yeah.
course and I get it, and that's where I was feeling a lot like Justin Long, where it's like, hey, you say a couple vague things, and then
Yeah.
you say some
Yeah.
concerning things, and then you also, you leave questions and a business card,
Yeah.
and though there's some things that weren't quite right, but there were definitely just some big things that like especially the first thing off the bat was just like absolutely true and just like knocked me off my axis a little bit. And I wonder, I was like, is that like a part of it? And then because I do know that a lot of it's just like you say, who knows, maybe it's all real, but I think that there's a little bit of just reading people and seeing how they
Mhm.
react to certain things and being
Oh,
able to,
my poker face is strong.
it's still a
Like I
great,
did not react to shit.
like still like a really cool talent to have,
Oh, yeah, that is a skill. Like, if you can read people in a way that they believe that you're, psychic or that sort of thing. I will say this, though, I do think to some extent, like, I don't know, maybe you can just call it a sciency way, like, people who are able to read people like that and, like, and go through, like, conversations that way or, do readings, whatever you wanna call it. I do think that they have an immense talent, and I do think that there's something different that's happening like in their brains than is happening in someone like mine who like I would never be able to do that. I've tried to guess people's lives before I have conversations with them, and I'm so off and unsuspecting of all things. So I think it's a skill and it's a gift, but not the level of gift like a Miss Cleo situation. That's different. Do you remember Miss Cleo?
I do remember Miss Cleo. I thought that was like a
Scamming
whole.
the shit out of everybody.
Yeah, I was like, wasn't that whole thing? I didn't. There's a
Oh
documentary about
yeah.
that. Um,
Yeah.
you know,
She was on the TV. She was on the TV all the time. But it wasn't the psychic readings that was the scam. It was how she was charging people. That was the scam.
yeah, the psychic stuff was
That's
real. She's
the
really a
psychic stuff. They
psychic.
were like, no,
Yeah,
you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to do that. They're like, you're fine. It was how
you just
it
need
was
to pay
how
your
she was
taxes.
charging people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah, and the taxes.
Yeah, believe me,
Oh.
the United States cares about very little in a morality sense. As long as you're paying your taxes, as
Yeah, do
long
whatever the
as
fuck you want.
yeah, then it's fine. But so so she goes home and this is when shit just starts happening to her in her home.
Hmm.
You know, the first one being pretty significant again, big slap across the face. It launches her across the kitchen.
Yeah, she
And
hits that kitchen counter
I
hard.
know. That's why I'm like, first little blood is in this movie. Like, they really like throw everybody around and they really do a number on
Hmm.
her. Um, Again, Justin Long being very sweet, little dismissive, being like, no, it's gotta be her. It's gotta be her. Or like, oh, well, this and this and this. But he's fine. He's just concerned.
Actually did a good job. He was like, remember, like they said that like sometimes it can be like trauma and
Yeah.
like PTSD and things like he's coming up with like logical reasons. So he's validate like and I feel like he's validating what she feels, but is saying like I don't think that there's a supernatural force at work here. He's more so saying like there's probably a logical reason for what you're experiencing.
As nice as he is, he's not like us. He's not the supportive partner that
Yeah,
we can
he's not
be.
like you said you saw a demon shadow.
Yeah, yeah, like I'm already looking it up.
Yeah.
Um,
Go get
so,
my leather bound books from the library.
and what was the fun part? And then just, shit, it's when it just starts showing up in other spots outside of her home where it gets like especially pretty
Hmm.
funny.
Hmm.
Like going back like to the bank scene where
Oh, and her nose is
it
bleeding.
just
Oh my God.
starts again cartoonishly just spraying all over the boss, which is pretty fun. He's like, oh,
The first time that I saw this movie, I thought that was her like imagining it. Like I thought she was gonna
mm-hmm.
like kind of open her eyes again, like blink and be like, "Oh my gosh, there's no blood on his shirt." I'm just like freaking out. Um, so I liked that it actually was just blood spurting out of her nose. Like that is that's really fun. I don't you think this happens after the blood spurts out of her nose? Is that when she goes and sees the granddaughter?
Yeah, that's when she's like, okay, we can sort this out. And goes and
Yeah.
sees the daughter. And the daughter, I'm just like, still, you're like, I know who you are. And I'm just like,
Hmm.
look, even you, like, really,
Yeah.
like, can't we get,
You should be like, Grandma, you curse someone again?
yeah,
Like,
it's like maybe I can't help you, but I'm like, ah, fucking grandma, or maybe she's
yeah.
just mad because it's like, hey, look, I didn't want her fucking living with me either, and now, well,
Hmm.
now she's not, because she's dead. So it
Yeah.
all kind of works out. And then I'm just like, maybe the stress of losing her house killed her, but I'm like, well, she was just gonna die literally the next day. Like,
Could have given her the extension.
well, I would say that, hey, it's just like a no harm, no foul kind of situation.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, yeah, that's true.
Who's
That's true.
because now
Well,
who's
I
going
mean,
to pay the
she didn't know.
mortgage? Well, yeah. So
Yeah, she didn't know. I love when she falls out of that casket,
coffin
on
flop.
top of yeah, on top of Christine, and the best part, like, so she's got like all the whatever that fluid is that goes all over her face and in her mouth, but then she also gets
Formaldehyde.
her hair like caught on her hand, and so like just like pulls out a chunk of it. I love that happens twice. Her corpse pulling her hair out.
I love the the weekend at Bernie's-ness of this corpse is she becomes pretty fun even after she dies.
Yeah.
Because she, yeah, again, it's like, yeah, she like does just enough to kind of just like float behind her in the grave and just
Yeah.
like kind of be
Yeah.
around. So it's without like ever
Yes.
actually like moving. It's pretty good. And then ripping out the hair. Yeah, that's the last of my hair you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Yeah, Christine gets really fun at the end of by the end of this movie. Um,
Yeah. I agree.
so she goes and is just like, okay, she's dead. And then also, I mean, and then Stu being a dickhead, he's, trying to sabotage her at work. Like,
Hmm.
and jeez.
Oh, is this when she goes back to see the seer and he talks about animal sacrifice? Oh, I thought.
Oh, no. And that was, why do I keep doing this? I come out pretty strong at the beginning of this venture and say, I do not fuck with animal death. That is the worst thing. And yet, between this and Urban Legend, which was the worst, and
Yeah, that's the worst one. We started on a high.
The Invitation, and
Hmm.
like I there's got to be some others, but I'm just like, how do I keep picking movies with all this? Like, did I just maybe just that I just blacked it out? I guess because
This is this is such an interesting thing to me because it's so like not this particular animal death, but like all like animal deaths. It doesn't bother me in movies because I know that it's not real. Like I'm very
except for
we're
Friday the 13th.
yes, except for that snake that we talked about, or that we will talk, yeah, that we talked about Friday the 13th. So that was an exception. But yeah, all the ones I know are fake. Like I'm like, this is like I like that it bothers people. So it makes me happy actually that it bothers you. Because most things don't. So I'm like, if you got anything on there, that's a good thing. I'm trying to think of where like my line is. This honestly, this is one of the worst ones because I will tell you right now, I would not ever in a million years murder my fucking cat. I love my precious cats. They're my babies. Like, obviously, that was a kitten. She's like feeling like she's not that attached. This is where Christine really shows her teeth because you couldn't have gone and gotten yourself a fucking chicken. Like,
He even says a
if
chicken.
yes,
Yeah, go find
he's
it.
like naming, we're from a farm.
Yeah,
Wait,
literally that your mother said you can go find you know where a farm is
yeah.
to
When you said
go.
she's an alcoholic, her ass is drunk, passed out on the couch. Go get you a goat. Like, you're gonna kill your cat. So, okay, if she didn't deserve to go to hell for the denying of the bank loan, but you do not kill your own pet. That is fucked up. That's fucked. No, 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 Christine. Very bad. Um,
So the
that yeah, that she buries it. I think the best part is after she kills this cat and now like they're heading to the parents, right, for the dinner. So he's like, "Are you sure you want to go?" And the cat at the house like hisses at her, the parents' cat, and she goes, "Oh, it's okay. I totally understand. I had a cat." And Justin's long like was like, "Well, you mean we have a cat unless
yeah,
something changed?" Like that that is so good. The way she's like, "No, why like
she,
kind of like everything's fine."
she's like
She played that off
shit
really well.
happens, cats come and go, don't push it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was pretty
she
funny.
played that off really well. So I was like, "Okay, Christine, you're not as innocent and sweet as you seem because that was some pretty fucking good acting."
So she goes to, yeah, right, so this is when she goes to meet Justin Long's parents the first time, thinking that like, okay, I did it, the curse is lifted, I should be good, and then finding out that's not the case, even though just like, yeah, just gosh, why? I mean, I know, mm, man, I'm very fortunate that my in-laws are all very, very kind, sweet people. So, but I'm like, gosh, I'm just like, just through this movie is just, it just sucks, just trying to like appease people who suck, and don't treat her well outside of Justin Long,
Ah.
right? And that's the only thing that like keeps her going. But the mom and even the dad's fine. He's nice. But yeah, the mom's
Mhm.
the mom's been pretty awful.
I mean, she may not be in literal hell, but it seems like Justin Long is the only person that she like gets enjoyment of being around. Like everyone else seems to just kind of dismiss her and treat her like shit.
Yeah, and it's just like, yeah, first, like the cake, and it was like, oh, is that something you make on a farm? It's like, well, no, you don't
Yeah.
fucking have to. Like
Yeah.
I have like a fucking kitchen, like I
Yeah.
I have I have a beautiful fucking house, by the way, that
Yeah. I have a more beautiful home than this.
yeah,
She's
Jesus.
like,
And then just pushy about like her mom and her dad. Justin Long's mom was pushy
yeah.
about Allison Lemon's
So
mom and dad. Yeah.
rude. Like that's one of those things where I think about if someone says like, oh, like I lost my my best friend or my sister or whoever, or someone close to them, and people are like, oh, how did it happen? First of all,
Does it
why are
matter?
you being morbid?
Yeah.
Like, does it make you feel better to know how my loved one died? Like, that's a weird. But so like her asking like, why are you not close with your mom? She doesn't have to share that with you. That's very personal information. Yeah, the mom is, ugh, she's terrible.
Yeah. I was like, who, for one reason or another, who hasn't, become disembodied and hallucinated a little bit at a family dinner? you know, like, whatever, it happens. So,
Yeah.
but I did think it was funny, she like gets up and, throws a glass, like, I can hear you, throws the glass, and then
Yeah.
like just like, runs out. And
I
Justin,
love when that fly pops out of her mouth though.
I know, oh boy.
Oh,
What isn't, I don't know if this is like an urban legend, but do you ever hear about like, the amount of like bugs you swallow in your sleep, like over the course of your life? I wonder if,
yeah.
is that real?
You know, I've always thought about that too, because it's like the average person like swallows like a certain amount of like spiders and things like that. I just don't see, I don't know, I just don't see that being a thing with how like insects can recognize living things. Like they're not just gonna try to be like, oh, like maybe I'll crawl into this mouth. Like they're more instinctual than you think. I just feel like that isn't the case.
Okay, I'm gonna lean on that. But
Yeah.
yeah, when she runs out and Justin Long's about to go after her, and the mom's just like, "Don't follow her. She's a sick
Yeah.
girl." And it's
Yeah,
like,
she does.
but I do like that. Like, but that was right after like that complete kind of heel turn of her being like, "You're very honest. My dad was an alcoholic too, and this and this and
Yeah.
this and this and this." And you're just like, and then it just because, oh, let's laugh and have a good dinner now. And then yeah, just how quickly she switches back to be like, no, she is some poor sick fat farm girl.
Yeah.
You
She's
know,
like,
that was the other thing too, was this, like I feel like they just, the farm bit and the family bit, and then the her, being, you know overweight as a child, but as as a
mhm.
child, right? It like they bring it up but don't really like follow through a whole lot with it, which is weird.
I wonder, so okay, as we're talking through this, maybe I'm giving the movie too much credit. But as we've been talking through this, because I thought a lot about, and I think I like noticed it a lot more in this watch, because I always wondered, I'm like, why did they mention that she was like heavier when she was younger? And like they show the picture of her like at the farm, like, and she like crumbles it up. But in the beginning of the movie, before she goes to work, like in the far, far beginning, she passes by like a bakery and there's like a bunch of sweets and things. And she like looks at it like really tempted and she's like, okay, like I just need to keep walking. And she keeps walking. And then
The ice cream, and she's
she's
given
eating
up.
the ice cream like when she's like super duper down, like closer to the end of the movie. But I almost feel that when you're looking at how, as we've been saying, how terrible every single person is around her with the exception of Justin Long, he is kind of like in her own personal hell anyway. Like she's constantly being mistreated. She's withholding herself from the things that she enjoys so that she's not like, she obviously loves food
Mhm.
and like loves sweets and like, like I think every person struggles with, like how much of this can I realistically eat and enjoy without feeling guilty. So she's just like experiencing all these terrible feelings all of the time. So it's like, are you in hell, girl? Like maybe not like being poked in by Satan himself, like with the, what do you call that thing that he has? That like cry, like looks like a trident, but it's Satan's trident.
A
Do you
pitchfork.
know what I'm talking about? Pitchfork. Thank you. His little,
Satan's
yeah,
trident
Satan.
is pretty cool though.
he's he's a water Satan. It's late. Yeah. So I'm like thinking about like all of that, and I'm like, she's got kind of a like, and the worst part is her life isn't that bad. It's just very like mundane. Like it's a very normal like life that she's living, and she's dealing with shitty people. So I'm like, maybe that's what they were trying to do with that, to just try to add to like her own personal struggle, people struggling with other people. I don't know. A thought.
Yeah. So she goes back to the
Poor
seer.
Christine.
Yeah, I know. To be like, okay, why'd you make me kill my fucking cat?
Yeah, he's like, I didn't tell you to kill your
Yeah, he
cat.
was like, I did not tell you to kill your cat. One, I told you it could work. Two, I suggested a
Yeah.
chicken or something. I
Yeah.
did not say you had to kill something that like meant something to you.
That lives with you.
Yeah, like that's weird. Okay. But and he's like, okay, there's something else we can try. I know a person, but they're not going to come cheap.
Yeah.
So I'm going to need $10,000 by tomorrow to do this. And she's like, fuck, I only have, till the end of tomorrow to even figure
Mm-hmm.
this out. So she's, I mean, I feel bad. She takes,
She sells all of her stuff.
all of her stuff, all of her things. One interesting kind of shot when she's like grabbing like her like ice skates and putting stuff in the box, and she turns around, and then like the ghost of Ganush like comes at her again. It's like when she's
Mm.
like just full like fist in the mouth, like
Oh
all
yeah,
on,
that's super fun. Yeah.
and but then she like cuts off the thing that drops the anvil on her, and I'm like, who has that anvil just hanging in their garage like that? Who I was
So unsafe.
I was like, the only person I could think of was River in Final Destination. Maybe in her garage she's got some sort of
Clear, clear,
clear
clear rivers.
whatever. You know what? I'm glad you knew it exactly what I meant. But yeah, I'm just I don't know. Of course, like and she doesn't come cheap, right? So they go and they meet this woman who we know
But
from
I wish I remembered her name. Okay, this woman from the beginning who was requiring $10,000 to come and fight this demon. Doesn't she say like she's been waiting for an opportunity to make amends and like fight it again? But she's like, oh, but at the same time, I need $10,000.
Sean Sandina
Mm.
is the character's name.
Mhm.
And so sorry about that, everybody. But yeah, that was my note where it's like, you know, I've been waiting for another opportunity to fight this thing, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
I let, a young boy die, and this is my chance to redeem myself.
for ten
But
thousand
it's
dollars.
also going to cost you $10,000. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, is this
Well,
really?
at that point, you're like, so is the seer taking the $10,000?
Well, and that's why I still think I'm like, maybe this was a whole thing to you know, to scam this girl, which I think
Yeah.
still would have been no, I like the actual supernatural parts of it, but if
Yeah.
it was a whole ruse, maybe it would have been fun. And then they go to hell for doing that. I don't know. Like that would be
Mm.
who knows? I don't know. But she tries to sell everything she can, gets like, 3,800, I think, something like that for it.
Hmm.
And
Definitely not enough.
then poor Justin Long, just being a champ, is like, I paid for it. With his I guess his family's very wealthy, because just being
Yeah.
like a professor, I'm like, I don't think you have just straight up just like 10K like that, just to be
Edu-
throwing it around.
Education doesn't pay, y'all. The things we value most. Mm-mm.
But I did like this whole seance part. I thought this whole thing was pretty fun. Bringing
The
in
goat,
that goat's so good.
that fucking goat, the way that it says whore.
I know that was my note, of course, because you know me, I'm sensitive. I'm just like, whore. Like, come on, you don't have to like slut shame
But
this
he says it
woman.
with the goat, like I'm not gonna do it.
The goat bleeding, or
Yeah, yeah. And then what's the other, does he say bitch too?
yeah.
It's so good with the, yeah, like the goat bleeding. That's pretty fun.
I
I
just
love that goat.
I thought that would be what a fun. I would pay good money if there was like, I guess it wouldn't be like a ride necessarily, but some sort of like experience where you go in and sit on one of these and you just watch all this fun shit happen around you as you're
Yeah.
just sitting at the seance table. And I thought that would be super fun.
Oh, that would be
And
fun.
just going around, yelling like, yeah, I welcome the dead into my soul. I welcome the dead into my
Mm-hmm.
soul. I do like the seers. I don't know if you caught this, but like she would often like turn to him and just kind of express how she's feeling, like, like, I'm worried, or I'm scared, or oh, I'm relieved, and he just goes, yes. He just like nods, goes, yes. He just like acknowledges it, just lets it
Yeah.
go. um
Yeah.
this anything particular from the seance scene you thought was pretty fun?
Yeah, I feel the fun thing about the seance, I like the little diversion of like they finish it and they make you feel like, or at least they make Christine feel like that was the resolve. And also though, like boo on the seer again for it feels like he's actually like misleading. Like you should have told her right away, like, hey, just so you know, that shit didn't work. Like, I think that would have been an important,
I thought he
bit of
had.
information to know right away.
I thought he had, where he was, at the end, she's like, cool, okay, we did it. And he's like, well, no, she got her out of the
That was
seance.
after the ambulance came to pick up that woman. Do you have any
Oh,
idea how
yeah.
long that shit would have like, or actually, no, it would have been the coroner. Well, no, they probably called the ambulance and they were like, oh, she's dead. But yeah, imagine like that woman loses her life and you're like, oh, and I'm still not even okay. But I would have straight up like probably slapped him in the face, demon
Demon
style,
slapped.
Lamia style,
One,
backhand him.
who gets the 10K if she didn't do it and she's dead, right? I
Yeah,
figured
that's a
that should be
great
part of the
question.
discussion. And then two, I just took a CPR class for work last week. He did not try at all. He just did a
Oh
couple
no, he
like
was not not
couple things,
even.
checked, and was like, nah, she's dead. Let's not bother with that.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But like,
that's
why didn't he tell her sooner about gifting it to someone else? I understand he didn't want her to like pass it on, but like, there are terrible people out there that we could give this button to. Why the heck not?
I'd be frustrated if I was one of the other ghosts that showed up during that seance, because it's like, I welcome the dead into my soul. I welcome the dead into my soul. And then ghosts start coming in, and just like random ass ghosts. And then you've got the woman going, be gone, spirits, be gone, foolish spirits. And then I'm like, well, fuck, you invited me out here. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
You asked me to come out here,
mindful.
and you can't just say, like, I invite the dead in my soul, but only one specific
Yeah,
demon that we want
like
out
maybe
here.
then use a name,
Yeah, like just be
use
upfront about
names.
it, right? So we're paying you, you're being paid for this. Geez, have some
Yeah.
professionalism. And I guess my whole thing with the seer wasn't that he waited until after the coroner came to be like, oh, actually that didn't work. But then he offers an option that he should have said from the fucking beginning.
And just wipe your hands of it, dude. Like give her days to figure this out.
Dude, like that, and especially that, I was thinking about that on my way home before this conversation, where I'm like, it's like, even with his bullshit, like, well, she's like, why didn't you tell me that, dude, you fucking dickhead?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, well, but it's not just killing them, it make like their eternity, for eternity their soul is going to be tormented in hell. And it's like,
Yeah,
bro,
that was me.
yeah, fuck, that's gonna happen to me. So you now I have like less than a day now with this new
Hmm.
option. You should have given me everything from the very fucking beginning.
Yeah, just say it all and I'll make the
We
decision.
can kill an animal, or we can
He wanted
contact.
that he wanted that $10,000.
Yeah, anyone that's like, hey, and that's what I was thinking. This whole shit's a fucking scam. Or and then says, oh, I guess, yeah, you could give it to somebody else. We have to think about it. And I'm like, there's plenty of people you've already introduced into to this movie that should have that button. And
Yeah,
like, you
so
know,
many.
that's where I
But
think
then she goes to the diner and is just hanging out trying to find somebody to give it to, and threatens that poor waitress. Like,
I'll give
I'm
you a
like,
tip you won't forget. This is when she gets
yeah.
pretty fun and starts saying a little more of the like, you
Yeah,
know,
these like quippy one-liners.
the more like Bruce Campbell Ash kind of one liners, which I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
fits pretty well on her. Even at the end when she says, when she quotes Ash directly, saying like, "Yeah, hell yeah, I'm gonna get some,"
Yeah.
and I was like, I bet when I was some, dumb teenage, maybe Evil Dead purist, I would have been like, "Oh, that's blasphemy. It doesn't work when she says it." But nah, it's pretty cool when she says it. So I thought that was fun. But like, yeah,
I love it.
she's at the diner, and I'll give you a tip you won't forget. You know, and though that waitress I thought was also very inconsistent because she was like, coffee drinkers don't tip. But then she switches to ice cream and then asks for another ice cream. The waitress is like, really?
Really?
And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, you don't want me to drink the fucking coffee, and
Yeah.
you don't want me to eat the
It
ice
can't
cream
win
like a
with you,
tip on you.
ma'am.
Yeah. So I'm like, that's poor customer service. So maybe she should have had the
Yeah,
button.
yeah.
She sees the guy that's like on like the oxygen tank, to which I'm like, well, yeah.
Why
Well,
him? This
because
poor sweet old man.
I think she was gonna. Her initial thought was that, well, he's gonna die soon anyway. But I'm like, no, it's not just
Yeah,
dying.
he's not going to hell.
Yeah,
Like, we don't know that he's gonna be burning in eternal hellfire. Jeez.
right. And then she brings Stu in, who deserved it. I mean, as much as someone can in this, it's all relative, right?
You deserve
As
it.
much as someone can
In this
deserve to die
context,
in a
he
horror movie,
absolutely deserves it.
he absolutely deserves it. And she fucking doesn't. And you're just like, okay.
Because he cries like a little bitch, and then he goes off and tells her boss that it was her that like switched over that account or whatever, tried to pin it on her. So I'm just like, no, you know what, Stu, you fucking deserve it. You have it coming.
I don't think I would lose any sleep. I wouldn't. If I gave it to
No.
Stu, I wouldn't have. I'd be fine. I'd be absolutely fine. Or my boss, either, in that situation, I'd be like, either one of those
Yeah.
guys, maybe fine. That's okay.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So many people that she could have like found in her life. I mean, honestly, if we're going into shitty mother-in-law territory here, if you really want to marry Justin Long and you don't want to have to deal with that wicked mom, give her the button.
Right?
Give it to her. Let's get rid of her.
I love
Like
that.
that, I didn't even that didn't even occur to me. She should have given it to her, and then that way she could have just been happily ever after with her dopey father-in-law and Justin Long.
Or like, or just, a situation like, even if she does give it to Stu, like, she doesn't have to be, an asshole like the fucking seer who had a lot of opportunities to bring up options. It could be like, do you remember It Follows? At least the guy had the decency to pass the thing on to her and
Yeah,
then
and
say
like
like,
tell her.
okay, here's the whole situation. Here's
Well, I mean,
your
he had to
options.
though, because it was gonna pass back to him if she dies.
If that's true. So I guess it was kind of for his own
Yeah,
survival too. But
yeah.
I do think, yeah. So give it to Stu and be like, okay, here are your options. You can believe me or not. It's up to you.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll see you. It's a 3-day weekend, so maybe I'll see you at work on Monday. I don't know.
Yeah, you're feeling all right.
It's a 3-day weekend. I don't know, but yeah, that was, and then she's trying to figure out who to give it to. I was like, I don't know if like legally you can gift something to the dead. I think that's like in American like law. I don't think you can do that. So
I I was not like I wouldn't have wanted to risk it either way. Like in my mind, I'm like, I would feel safer just giving this to a living, breathing person.
and seeing
Like
them
I
get pulled into hell, and then I'd be like, okay, good, good. I need that confirmation.
Yeah, and as soon as she drops that fucking envelope in the car, you're like, okay, obviously she's gonna grab the wrong one. really you're fighting for your life and you don't check to see if that button is actually in the envelope. And also a button in an envelope feels awkward and weird. Like you would know that that's not the correct envelope. Um, I'm not that's the most unrealistic part of this movie.
I did like the like, oh, he's a dork. He likes old quarters, because they established that he's kind of a dork.
Oh yeah, so he had it was the envelope with the coin. I forgot about that. So similar to a button, but still the coin would be heavier.
Definitely. Because I mean that was his whole thing at the end where he's like, oh damn, sorry you got rid of that jacket. I found the button. You must still have my coin, which
Yeah,
is in Ganesh's
yeah.
mouth. But
Yeah.
I did like, yeah, like I liked her going back over there and digging up the grave, and
Oh my
the
gosh, that was so good.
the dead body still managing to rip out some hair, and then also like I don't know what her when it was raining like that. I don't know how she thought she was gonna get back out of that grave.
Well, like, where did this like flash flood come from in the
Uh,
graveyard? Like that was so much water coming down.
if you remember, like I was saying, during Death Becomes Her,
Oh, here we
um,
go.
there is the only way you're going to see a lightning storm like that in Southern California is going to be if there is some cursed supernatural
Yep,
situation going
something's
on,
going on.
because that's the only time you ever see that. I was thinking about that during just
Oh, I
how much
bet.
water it is and how much,
It's so much rain, like such a rare occurrence for the Los Angeles area. Um, but yeah, it's pretty good. She's lucky that she makes it out of there because that giant iron cross that like falls on her head should have knocked her out cold for a while.
yeah. So it's and it's a good thing to know. I'd forgotten. I think it's been a long time since I watched the movie. I'd forgot about that switcheroo with the coin and the button, just because
I did too. I did too.
like up until that point, I was just like, like the seer. I'm like, literally none of your fucking options worked. Like, what?
Mhm.
Why are you here? What good are you at this?
Yeah.
And I was thinking it's still like maybe just the scam bit of it. I don't know, but
Mhm.
I don't know. I would not have felt as comfortable as she did after that, But I do like each time when she thinks the curse is over, when she just has this
Yeah,
like
she gets let down like
she
several times.
she just I don't know. She's just so cute when she's just like smiling. She's
Yeah.
like, things are gonna be okay. This is really
Yeah.
good, and
Yeah. That is definitely the
let me
vibe.
wear my cute yellow dress, or let me be really pushy towards this lady that's just trying to open the store at the train station, like just like we're not
Ugh,
open
that would be
yet,
such a pain in the ass. That was my like customer service moment where I'm like,
the money's still in the
shop here
safe, I
during
haven't set up
normal
the
business hours.
registers."
Yeah. At this movie actually has one of my more favorite endings. I love that you get to see Justin Long like holding the ring all cute, like, you know,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. I think the first time that I saw this, I thought that she was going to get hit by the train, but like as like a funny, like kind of like she made it out of it, and but then she ended up dying anyway. But really really enjoy that last those last couple moments. And actually it's probably the best CGI that's in the movie is when she's actually like dragged down.
Yeah,
It looks a
probably.
little better than some of the other stuff.
Yeah, I know, because then
And poor Justin Long.
everyone's gonna be like, "Oh nope, it was the train that killed her," and Justin
Hmm.
Long's gonna know. But and I just wonder, yeah, just the poor look on his face, because
Hmm.
that's the thing. I love, I just like I do love a good horror movie where the protagonist, you know like it doesn't work for them, or
Yeah.
they didn't beat the antagonist, at least.
Yeah.
um so it's always go back to that one episode. I don't know, two distinct episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark? One where the kid gets stuck in the pinball machine for the
Oh
rest of his
yeah.
life, and then
Yeah, that's pretty dark.
the one with Tia and Tamara Mowry, where
Oh
one's like the
yeah.
evil twin, and The other one gets like turned into a lizard and thrown down a well or something like that,
Oh
I think.
yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, some of those episodes were pretty dark.
They do. That's why they ask.
Yeah.
That's why they ask straight up. Are you
Are
afraid of
you
the
afraid
dark?
of the dark?
Because if you are, Snick's over. Hey,
Yeah.
we're good. We're done. We ended with Clarissa. Nothing else to watch here. Snick was great. I loved that
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, it was.
Yeah, TGIF and Snick. What a way to get kids to be like, it's the weekend. Just stay inside and watch TV.
Yeah, just don't go anywhere.
I love it. It's
Yeah.
but it worked. Yeah, I know. It was a yeah, it's a great ending, even though again, I'm just so upset and frustrated because I'm like, this woman does not deserve any of this.
Hmm.
But maybe only for killing her own cat, which again, the
Yeah.
guy was like, you could have killed
Yeah.
something else. Like you didn't I did not tell you to do that.
I might be remembering this incorrectly, and I probably should have watched the trailer to double check, but I remember in the movie poster, she's wearing that blue coat, and they show her like being, dragged down by demons in one of the movie posters. And I think I remember in the trailer they show a shot of it. And I was like, when I had first seen it, I was like, wait, when she puts on the blue coat, I remember thinking, did I see this? Like, did they show us her actually like being dragged down into this pit? Which always has bothered me about this movie. And one of the many reasons why I no longer watch trailers for anything. Because it tells you too much and shows you too much. And I think this was one of them that I was like, oh, I think this is not going to end well for her, especially after seeing that blue coat. And they follow her way too long after a long follow as to what they're doing after things are resolved is never a good sign.
No. But yeah, I
But
hear
yeah.
you with trailers. Well, we were talking about just last week about how what served you so well watching Barbarian was seeing nothing ahead of time and just going in and
Hmm.
watching it. So,
Yeah, it really makes a difference.
man, and a much nicer, more palatable Justin Long this time around, which was appreciated.
Hmm.
Because I love him whenever he's in stuff, but he's a real piece of shit in that last movie. This one, he's just
Yeah.
a nice guy, just trying to do his thing. But
I have a fun Justin Long story. When I was watching interviews, like I was watching like a couple cast interviews from Barbarian, he was sharing that his mom had went to the premiere of Jeepers Creepers with him, and there was like some girls sitting in front that were like very like actively like yelling at the screen, like telling him he was doing all the wrong things. And spoilers for Jeepers Creepers if you've never seen it, but Ju- Justin Long dies in that movie, and when the girls in front of them were like, "Yeah, he deserved to die. He was the worst." His mom was literally crying next to him because she was so upset that one, he died in the film, and then two, that like the audience was like cheering that he had died.
but
And I was like, "Oh,
he's such a good actor that to get that emotional response from people,
I
what can
know."
you
No,
do?
we love him.
Um,
Yeah, our second Justin Long movie in a row too.
Gosh, well, that got us to the end of the movie. It's a pretty short
Mhm.
one, which me, I always love the
Yeah, I
short
think it
shorts. It's like
was.
90 minutes,
Yeah,
95.
I guess it was like so. I mean, that was a perfect length for a movie like this. I think.
Anything you want to touch
Yeah.
base on before we get into the booze?
Mm, I have this one has two taglines.
Okay.
Um, and what is fun about this, what's fun about these taglines is that one of them just tells you what the movie is. Like it to the end, it says Christine Brown has a good job, a great boyfriend, and a bright future. But in 3 days, she's going to hell. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you you just spoiled the movie. Just
Spoiler
told me
alert.
the ending. But I like this one. Even nice people can go to hell.
Okay.
That's the second one.
That's pretty
I
good.
like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one better. But I thought that was, well, I don't remember seeing the even nice people go to hell. I think I only saw the one that in 3 days she's going to hell. So, uh, fun. Those two are fun.
You mentioned the movie's got like a 92, 93 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Hmm.
Um, you know, won a couple genre awards, but I did pull up the MTV Movie Awards and Teen Choice Awards, which
Good
was,
job.
again, very strange. Well, no, the Teen Choice Awards from 2009, then the MTV Movie Awards in 2010. Um, it was it was a pretty solid year for some horror movies. Alison Lohman was nominated for Best Scared as Shit Performance. Scared as S asterisk asterisk T performance rather.
Yes, of course.
Um,
And that wait was which one was that for?
Alison Lohman was nominated for Best Scared as Shit Performance.
For VMAs?
No, it's the Video Music Awards. We're talking about
Oh,
the
the Video Music
MTV
Award.
Movie
Oh, sorry,
Awards,
sorry. The MTV Movie Awards,
where you
sorry,
get the
or the Teen Choice
where
Awards.
you get the popcorn, not the
Yes,
Moon
yes,
Man.
I remember. They don't do that. They don't do them anymore,
No, I don't.
right? They only do they still do the VMAs.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
So Alison Lohman lost. She was nominated that year.
Mm,
She lost to Katie Featherston. Or sorry, no, she didn't win either. But the other nominees were Katie Featherston for Paranormal Activity,
okay.
um, Charlton Copley for District 9, which was the big sci-fi movie that year,
Mm,
Jesse Eisenberg in Zombieland, and lost to Amanda Seyfried for Jennifer's Body.
that's
Which,
fair.
yeah, sure, yeah, that's
I
cool.
think that's fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it. And
Lot of good ones though on there.
right, just and then there was the Choice movie for the Teen Choice Awards in 2009 for horror and thriller. Also lost to this one. The other None of the other movies are mentioned here. So, but I guess maybe it was timing because, yeah, none of the other nominees, or sorry, I guess rather, Drag Me to Hell is the only nominee that's in both of, the MTV Movie Awards category and
Oh.
then this one. So, Drag Me to
Huh.
Hell was nominated but lost to, well, the other nominees were The Haunting of Molly Hartley. Do you remember that movie at
Yeah,
all? I remember the
I do
name,
actually.
but I didn't see it. And
It's
then
fine. Yeah.
Quarantine, which I did see, and I remember thinking it was whatever. It's like a found footage movie. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember Quarantine, but I don't remember anything about it. I know I've seen it.
And then there is The Uninvited.
I remember that movie.
Do you remember that one? Yeah.
Mhm.
But ultimately losing to the 2009 remake of Friday the 13th, which is probably my favorite
Oh,
movie out of this
that
five.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't think there was any sort of, just mass robbery, like
No, not like
not like
like the
Halloween H2O.
blockbuster.
Yeah. Blockbuster Entertainment Awards. So good riddance on
Yeah.
them. Um, let's see. Gosh, I always forget who I think I shared my booze first last time.
What did we talk about last time?
Barbarian.
Barbarian.
I never remember. So I'm happy to go again.
I went first. I think I went first for Barbarian since that was I don't know, maybe not. I don't know. I don't remember. This one's a really tough one for me. Okay. So here's my journey of having watched this movie. I haven't watched it for a really long time. I remember when I saw it in theaters, I was on the fence about it. Then I watched it again a couple years later and I was like, oh, this movie is really fun. And I really enjoyed it. This last watch, I didn't have as much fun with it as I had previously.
Mhm.
And this is definitely not a movie I would recommend to anyone. Like to just anyone is what I mean. Like I would definitely recommend this to like a very specific group of people who like a certain type of horror movie. So that kind of marks down points for me a little bit. I'm on the fence. I'm in between a 2.5 and a 3.
Okay. Well, if you want to, you
See
know,
if you can tip the scale for me. What's your score? And we'll see if you can move me back or forward depending on how you're feeling.
I was gonna say 3. It was good.
Okay.
I liked it a lot. I think now it's hard because like okay, I did like a lot of the dirt and the bugs and the spraying blood out of her nose, and the
Mm-hmm.
formaldehyde juice, body juices poured, just all the things that they kind of pour on her. But
Yeah.
I do think the movie might have still been even cooler if they could just go wild and have that R rating and just
Yeah. I think that's the
go
thing.
a little nuts with it.
I
And
rem-
the oh, sorry, go ahead.
I remembered it being less tame actually when I was like recalling the movie. Like I remembered it being much grosser and over the top, and I thought maybe there was more blood. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I do think it's very unique and very fun. I do love the ending. Um, I'm gonna stick with my 2.5. I'm sticking with it.
Okay, I like that.
The 3.
Yeah, it's still super enjoyable. I would recommend it to everybody. I think it's, yeah, like I said, I think it's still, I think it's a fun watch. I would recommend it to anybody. Be like, hey, do you want to watch just something just really, just campy, really easy to
Silly.
watch, silly to watch? Though at the same time, it's just hard because it's like I always have to kind of put that asterisk of like, yeah, I know it gets a little, it's real problematic in its depiction. So like, I wish. So that's my whole thing too. That really like
You're
knocks it
kind.
down.
You're kind. I don't do that unless it's Joel. I always just throw movies at people and I'm just like, I'm curious to see if you pick up on anything. Like, go ahead.
Yeah.
Jump into it.
Well, because I think too, like Joel's knowledge about I think Eastern European like culture and history, coupled with the fact that he's just gonna point that shit out constantly.
Oh, he was furious when I was even like just talking about the premise of the movie. He's like, "Oh, that fucking bullshit trope," and I'm
Right.
just like, "Yeah, yeah,
Well, and just between that and like, well, I guess I don't know. Hostel was like 5 years ahead of it before this. I was just thinking like, there's yeah, these movies just do no favors for dismantling some of those tropes. So it's hard
yeah,
where I'm like, so much of this movie I really like, and so much care and craft is put into this movie, even with the bad CGI. And
yeah,
I don't know. I just thought it was really fun, but I think a 3 solid. Who knows
yeah."
where I'm feeling on it.
Yeah, I think the CGI really took away for me. I wish there was more like why have someone as wonderful as Justin Long if we're not gonna like really get our time with him. And yeah, I think the rewatchability like is it's a good one for rewatching. I think having on in the background too, because it's like you can kind of like zone in and out of it if you've seen it a million times. Yeah,
Okay.
but still a fun watch, fun to talk about too.
All right, let's log it. 2.5 and 3 booze. I love it.
I did. It's officially on the log, my official notes app log, which is look at that. Look how extensive that is.
A lot more
Uh,
lines than it used to be. That's good
yeah,
for you.
it's
I
it's
appreciate you
uh
for doing that.
it's looking full. I even put for Halloween H2O, I even added in our Halloween rankings just in case we need to
Reference those again.
reference back to that at another date, another time.
Gosh, I think I've said all that I feel like I gotta say right now. Drag me to hell. I appreciate everyone
Yeah.
for sticking around. Yeah, Natalie, anything you want to add?
No, I'm glad. I hope that some people watch this movie for the first time.
Yeah,
I feel like this like period of time is going to be a fun one for revisiting.
I
It's
agree.
like 2009. Kind of now that we know all these great movies that came out in 2009, maybe this is the year.
The aughts.
Mhm.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, hey,
Yeah.
take care, everybody. Appreciate you sticking around and join our lively conversation on Drag Me to Hell. And well, gosh, just come scare us up next week. A 3, 2, 1 ghost.
Thanks for listening to our episode on Drag Me to Hell. If you're enjoying our podcast and want to keep track of what we're up to, give us a follow on Instagram at 321GhostPod. We would be so grateful if you left us a killer review on whichever platform you're listening. You can contact us by emailing 321ghostpod@gmail.com to share any comments, questions, request a fortune reading from Kyle, or suggest a movie you'd like to hear us chat about. Next week, we'll be covering 1992's Candyman, so join us for that, or we may take it personal and curse you to suffer eternal damnation. Thank you again for listening, and remember to be kind to the elderly. 3, 2, 1, ghost.